the roots will trigger 4 times here, because one's being cast and one's being exiled in part of the cast. Hello everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to be playing a Golgari pile in best of 1. I haven't been able to play Golgari in quite a while. Every time I queue up different mid-range piles, I end up going very negative and losing quite a bit of games in a row. But however, we found a Golgari list that actually ended up doing very well for us today, and that is because of Insidious roots and some of the key pieces that I was able to pick up out of the new set that helps this deck kind of go above and beyond even when you don't have a roots in your hand. But if you don't know what Insidious roots does, creature tokens you control have tap, add 1 mana of any color. Pretty simple, but what are we going to get those tokens off of? The same card. Whenever 1 or more creature cards leave your graveyard, create a 0/1 plant creature token, then put a 1/1 counter on each plant you control. So it also grows the other plants that you have, so they become very dangerous threats in the late game or very quickly in the early game when you have a lot of other effects online, which we'll get to in just a moment. Now, one of the big pieces of what we're trying to do as well with that plan, and one of the side plans, is using Agatha's Soul Cauldron. This card has a lot of abilities on it, but mainly any creature with a 1/1 will get all activated abilities under Agatha's Soul Cauldron. And how do we get cards under there? By tapping it, exile a target card from a graveyard. Whenever a creature card is exiled this way, we put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. And there's quite a few creatures in our deck outside of just like a Molt Tender that we're wanting to use, or like an Adept we're wanting to use under a Cauldron. And that is Haywire Might as a 1/of in our deck, because outside of using it a couple of times, which you'll see against an Artifacts deck, where this becomes a massive advantage for us, we get to play a Thrill Seeker. So whenever we make a massive plant off of roots, well, they have counters on them, so they're able to use the Thrill Seeker's ability, and we can just fling them at our opponent, which is going to work out very well as well. And then we have loot in the deck, probably weirdly one of the best ways to play loot in a Agatha's Soul Cauldron deck, giving all of our creatures all the exhaust abilities, because exhaust can only be done once ever. So like once we activate to add 3 mana mode on that creature alone, it will never be able to use it again, but the next plant that has a counter on it will be able to. So we have add 3 mana of any color, we have draw 3 cards for a blue, and then we have deal 3 damage to any target with a red. And there is a very good example of us making a ton of plants and using loot's abilities over and over again to win the game right there on the spot. Outside of that, we have a lot of support cards, and Overlord, a card that we probably are very familiar with. And then a Dredger's Insight. This is a new card from Aetherdrift that I think is very underrated. It's a very good card. Delirium has been playing it recently. But whenever 1 or more artifact creature cards leave the graveyard, you gain 1 life. So we gain for however many do. And when this enchantment enters, mill 4 cards, and you put an artifact creature and or land card from among the mill cards into our hand. It's just a great way whenever we have those 2 landers and one of these, we're almost kind of guaranteed to hit a land, or we'll find ourselves closer. If we draw 2 cards, miss a land on the next 4 cards, then we're probably losing that game anyway. Outside of that, we have a Molt Tender, also from Aetherdrift, replacing a Landwar Elves in this type of deck list, because it is able to mill card, fueling our graveyard, but it can also exile cards from our graveyard, add 1 mana of any color. So it is a kind of quick way to get roots online very quickly, and helps us kind of push our game plan forward. And if there's an Agatha's Soul Cauldron with this exiled underneath, all of our plant tokens can now, obviously our plant tokens can make mana, but now we can also exile a card instead to make any color, which will then make more plant tokens, and Tyvar is the main initiator of that. You may activate abilities of creatures you control as those creatures have haste, so they cannot attack, but they can be activated immediately. So that allows us to do a lot of crazy things whenever we have a roots online. If we have 2 roots online, the game is basically over. With a Tyvar kind of inbound because of a loot under a cauldron, that means we're going to be able to make 3 mana, then activate them all and use the 3 damage mode to any target. So with that said, there's a lot of things intertwined in this deck that go together very well, and hopefully the gameplay can kind of show that better than I can explain it in this kind of 4-minute intro. So with that said, let's dive into the games. Hope you all enjoyed them. If you enjoy my content, consider subscribing. With that said, let's go game. All right, sweet. We are here together. We got artifacts. There is a weird precedence. Just go ahead and play this Overlord. It doesn't really give me the value I want right now. comparison to like maybe what this cauldron could do. But let's put Overlord down. We could hit something way better. I will grab a Haywire Might, I think. Actually, I just leave Haywire Might and I just turn my creatures into Haywire Might, right? Yeah, so we just take the Gorehound out. Then I can just play a Cauldron, turn this into a Haywire Might, exile a permanent if our opponent plays it. We can kind of just play that game over and over again until our opponent stops us from doing it. I can also play like a Tyvar, bring back Haywire Might for free, but then if they exile it under a permanent, then I don't really have a way to keep it around for free. So it's kind of a weird thing where I don't necessarily want to do that. Blue-red, Maze Mind Tome. I believe this is, if I'm not mistaken, I just watched Legends upload this. Legends VD, I believe. Anyway. Do I go for Tyvar here? Tyvar seems like the correct option.
Whoever slays
No.
the most Rex, your story's not finished yet.
Surveil. There's an Insidious Truth. Both these cards are actually really good, so I'm actually going to keep both of those. Attack. You know what? Roots won't even be able to be activated right now, right? Tyvar's gone. I believe it's any target. Yeah, it's literally says right there. Sure. Draw another card. Sure. There's an Insidious Roots. What do we do from here? Let us go with Cauldron and maybe a Molt Tender and just see what they do from there. And I'll wait on this Cauldron. The reason I want to wait is because I don't want to necessarily fire it off exactly right now, just on the fact that it's like if I put a Haywire Might under it and then it gets hit with something, I have to deal with that after. Sure. Tapped out, kind of. This can sacrifice an artifact, create a 3/3. They have a mana, and they play a 1-mana artifact, sure. Yeah, so we're definitely hitting that Haywire Might. We're going to just start popping everything that we can. Yeah, sure. Alright, Agatha's Soul Cauldron. Haywire Might. Here. Treasure's Insight for number 2. Go for Insidious Roots. We activate the Cauldron. I just go ahead and hit Gorehound. Move a counter here. Now I have Haywire Might all over the place. I have 2 mana. We might as well pop this Synthesizer, I believe. Yeah, so let's do this. Exile here. Then we can kind of just wait, I think. Yeah, we just wait here. Our Overlord's about to come up as well, which can buy the Tyvar back, which means we'll then combo like crazy. And we also get to throw like a block and then sacrifice the Maverick to something. This is only sorcery, right? Yeah. But Haywire Might is not. 2 and 2. Grab Synthesizer. Pop this. It doesn't matter. They can float the mana in response, right? Yeah, sure. Wait till they activate, and then we can take out the Repurposing Bay. I don't know. It's all kind of weird right now, what we do and how we do it. Actually, that's kind of crazy. We get to make 2 tokens here, maybe? No, we only get to make 1. But with Molt Tender, we can actually do something pretty cool. So they're going to grab a Synthesizer. Like, that's pretty obvious from here, at least it seemed, but it doesn't really change the math. We just exile the synthesizer whenever they cast their artifact spell, right? But with Molt Tender, we can exile our Maverick to make our mana, which will make another Roots token, and then we sacrifice this Maverick to exile the artifact. Man, how important this Haywire Might is already shown to become. As long as they can't answer our Agatha's Soul Cauldron, we are A-okay. There's a Collector's Vault, which is fine. We now just go ahead and do this. I will do this for, I mean, I guess I wait till blocks. That artifact doesn't matter. I throw a block for free, I guess. We're both in the timer because it's such a weird game. That's kind of funny. Welcome to gold, dude. We're grinding this game out. Okay. Here. Yes. Here. The root's going to trigger. This is going to happen. That synthesizer is getting exiled. And yeah, I was going to say, I don't know how they ever beat us. They might hit us for a while, but we're going to put so much pressure on the board that I don't think they can keep up. It's really wild. My opponent goes first. Thankfully, this does play for a green, so we can play our Mavericks. 2 up, by the way. We'll have this in our opener every single game. Don't worry about it. But they're gonna make me discard it for free, so that's pretty cool. Do I go for a Mana Dork or do I go for like the Surveil 2? And I think Surveil 2 makes more sense. Might as well try to find stuff. I will take a land though. I think. Get rid of this. We'll get to play a land like a swamp, and then we'll get to play a Gorehound into another Maverick and mill 3 or Surveil 3 anyway. Sure. Oop. Huh. Don't really mind our creatures and stuff going into graveyard too often. Gorehound. Play another one of these. Now we'll get like a Surveil 3 here. All can go into Ben. Now we're looking for obviously kind of our combo cards. Even Haywire Might can go. And then we can double Molt Tender if that's what it comes down to, but -2/-2 is going to hit the Gorehound. Again, I do think like we're an Insidious Roots away from just winning the game, but we obviously have to find that. I'll get rid of a land here. I'll take 3. Or I said Molt Tender, but whatever. I literally am just checking out of this game now. This is one of the weird ones where it's just like it's gonna be just an awkward enough game that I'm not gonna hit what I need. We're already like 15 cards deep and I haven't hit one. Or like a Tyvar or something that's just important enough to play. Even a Cauldron would be great with like this loot, so it just kind of is what it is. Our opponent's played 2 Hopeless Nightmares, 2 Grim Bottles, and it's just been bullying us since, but it is what it is. I lose my creature. I will trade this off. That's what it comes down to. Most likely there'll be another spell cast, but oh, okay, we get that traded off for free. They're going to look to sack the Hopeless Nightmare or the Grim Bubble. Oh, nice. We actually hit a card that matters. Here's a Tyvar.
This will
Here.
make a thrilling tale. Your story
We're going to grab the Adept. Play a land because it's not interactable. We'll activate here so we can activate it instantly. And then we'll go ahead and we'll play a Gorehound back out. Actually, cancel. We're going to play this out. Exile cards from your graveyard, sacrifice foods. I would like to exile other cards from my graveyard. 2 and then maybe 3, I guess. Just want to load up the board a little bit here. We'll cast this. This is gonna exile 4. Maybe we just don't. Not a better card. Maybe Haywire Might's a little bit better. I guess we just pass for now. I was just down to get like one more creature back out, I think. They're both Surveil 2, and the Grim Bobble's like slightly worse, right? Actually, no, I would argue that the Hopeless Nightmares right now are worse. This Grim Bauble, if you pick it back up, you can at least use it as more removal. Like, technically, this town ain't big enough. They could pick up both Grim Baubles and actually take out both my creatures here. We'll mill a card, because with the Adept alive, then we're pretty solid off. We're going to activate the Storm Chasers. I would imagine. Well, maybe. Sure. I'll take this. That's fine with me. Lose my Tyvar. Just creatures. Until it is where you may cast creature spells from your graveyard before foraging in addition to its other cost. Okay. Let's mill. Sure. Activate this ability. I would like to cast this Overlord. Let's grab land, and Tyvar. We might have been able to play like a Mana Dork or something like that overall, but I will grab a... Oh, no. I'll grab a Tyvar back. Maybe we could have played a Mana Dork, maybe exiled some cards, and then played the Overlord after, but I felt like confident enough just play the Overlord down and call it a day. All right, yeah, I mean, hand's pretty solid. We got Surveil Land. Maybe we can find something we want to play. I swear I've had a loot in my opening hand every game, and it's a 2 of, but, you know, Hopeless Nightmare makes that card good. Smile. But let's see what this game kind of evolves into. We do have good cards to play. Maybe. Okay. They were mauling, so I don't necessarily care that much if it's a while, especially if a maul happens because, you know, they were actually in the tank. Well, I'm going to keep out Insidious Roots. Black Hopeless Nightmare. Sure. I'll get rid of this loot. It's almost like I said, Hopeless Nightmare is a very good card for us. Now we play a Roots, and we... Oh, it's blue-black. Okay, so bounce effects do happen, and definitely are possible for sure. Although... what am I discarding? The Adept here? Guess so. Second Roots. Okay, big dog. Don't bother me. I'll catch you guys next year. Sure. Play a second Roots. I bring one creature out of my graveyard and I make 2 Mana Dorks. Which, if they don't make me discard here, it's going to be Tyvar minus grab a dude out. Although they could definitely make me discard here. Here. No counterspell. Sweet. Minus.
Let's see what this hex gold can do.
If this resolves, that's really bad news for them. Let's play a Tender here. Let's make 2 Roots. Nowhere to run. Sure. Mill a card. Here's 2 Mana Dorks, which are pretty good. Let us cast this Overlord. Let us grab out the Adept. They're getting comboed already and the game just started. It feels like. We'll Surveil here. We'll throw the other loot away. We'll cast this Adept. And then until an turn you may cast a creature spell. I cannot cast anything currently. If I could, the Roots would go insane because I would just get multiple. Well, actually, how's this work? Whenever 1 or more creature cards leave the graveyard, create... whenever 1 or more cards leave the graveyard, create a 0/1 green plant creature token, then put a 1/1. If I do 2 creatures, Roots only ends up triggering once, I believe. We'll find out. All right, opponent. Good game. It's actually over. I will play an Agathis Soul Cauldron. I will activate an Agathis Soul Cauldron. I will exile a loot. I will put this counter on the Adept. All this happens. These also have haste, by the way. So I will activate here. I will make 3 mana of any one color for a green, and I will do red. I will then proceed to deal 3 damage to you. I will then do 3 damage to you. This is just a super sweet way to kind of do this. And then I will do 3 damage to you. And then we do have a green left. So I can now activate this. And I can go, okay, let's cast this by foraging. Land, and then Molt Tender. That shouldn't be the card I'm casting. The roots will trigger 4 times here. Because one's being cast and one's being exiled in part of the cast. And then we activate this for 3 more mana. And then we just dome them over and over again. Our opponent goes first. Got a Maverick or maybe a Mana Dork. Not really sure what to go with here. Maybe it's the Mana Dork. The only problem is I need to have a card in my graveyard, I guess. Which I can definitely get plenty of. Actually, we go Tenor first. Because then I can go Insight, mill over, and then go that route. Is it Esper? Pixie? Brother, relax. I promise it ain't that serious, dog. Like over here freaking out with his nowhere to run stuff. The 1/1, my guy. Obviously, I'm joking, but it is quite funny. Now I have a Haywire Mite that I can do some damage with if I want. You're going to this town that. Oh, you're playing an Overlord. What do you got going on? You're just playing Overlord in our Pixie deck? I don't know if I I don't know if I agree with that one, team. But it is what it is. Sure. Okay. I guess we play that because it just makes sense, right? I'll just go with Tyvar first. No, they have the nowhere to run. But the problem is that the rest would be annoying, right? Let's play Roots here. Let's play a Maverick. Just afraid of a hard just discard effect. I guess Gorehound's honestly probably fine to just keep on top as a play. I'm actually okay with drawing a Gorehound, weirdly enough. I can play it whenever I'm making stuff with the roots. Haywire Mite can go. Gonna bounce that. Okay. I am sick of my opponents playing awkward, bad cards. It's making me upset. I'm sick of it.
Let's pound these metal monstrosities.
Keeps happening to me, and I'm just over it. I've had enough. Battlefield guy. I have a green. I can blow up that Hopeless Nightmare. I don't even know if I care that much. I think I just want to look for more cards. Also, Destroy Evil's not a bad card. It's just been recently a bad card. Like I don't find it to be that good now. It's just like one of the weird parts of like Destroy Evil was such a dominant card before, but it's just like, are you really using this to blow up like your opponent's Hopeless Nightmares and stuff? I mean, you can, I guess. That's up to you, brethren. Sure. My Tyvar is gone. You are correct. That's okay. Why we kept 2 really good cards on top. We go Insidious Roots. We go escape this. I'll put it on my Gorehound. Now, obviously, this is staying on top because Judge's Insight's really good. All out attack. This is a full bait attack, by the way. Yeah, they catch it. Job, opponent. If they would have blocked there, actually worst play for them, because then I would just exile this to put a counter on the other one and then make another Roots token. You have a second. Honestly, it's also probably like a 1 or a 2 of 2. It's just like when they play this over like a get lost, it seems weird. Like if this gets hit with the get lost at any point, I'm kind of like, okay, that makes sense. But this one just seems weird. But after I'm done complaining about it, by the way. Not me. Oh, okay. That's a pretty good play. This talent ain't big enough. Remove my token. Hopeless Nightmare, just chipping some damage. You're gonna fling in for 4. Okay, that makes sense. This Overlord's about to start cooking now, I'll tell you that. Only from the milled card, so we need a good card. I will take an Agatha's Soul Cauldron. I will make stuff. I will play Agatha's Soul Cauldron. I have a mana dork in here. I sure do. I have a couple creatures with stuff on it. I could do a Haywire Might, just exile some stuff too. I could do this first, right? I could just add a mana of any color. I'm grabbing Haywire Might. Definitely makes more sense. Counter here. Sure. No. Here. You have to block, but this happens. Now, obviously, they can deal with the Cauldron, which is another thing that this misses, but so doesn't destroy evil. But this town could make me pick it back up, and then obviously a lot of value is gone. But our board's pretty good in general. But now I get this Soul Cauldron. Maybe Haywire Might's just a bad choice. Maybe I was supposed to just do this, and then just like leave my things with counters and either exile cards from my graveyard to. The more I talk, the more I think my play was probably a mistake. But I could, in theory, just make mana. This would make a root. I would then make just mana by exiling or whatever we need to do. Okay. Not going to be enough to stop me, brother. I have a way to discard that. Actually be better in my graveyard, which is funny. Do have a Haywire Might on all these, so like this doesn't matter. We can always exile it. No, it's a non-creature permanent, right? So now I actually can't get rid of that. Yeah, I guess so, right? Weird. But all these will become a Haywire Might in general, so we'll play this. Nothing in there that's good. I go and I grab this little tender. I put the counter on here. Then I can just do this on this, I suppose, which will make another roots. And then it's like, am I not supposed to attack with this? I think the answer is yes, I attack with it. I do have a green still. What's up, brethren? Oh yeah, I guess I can block with that, right? And this won't cover it, right? Exile card from graveyard, add 1 mana. I guess I just lost it, right? Yeah, I made a mistake. Yep. I don't know what I was thinking. We'll pass. Sure. I thought I was going to be able to do it twice, but I just can't. I'm bad at the video game. Although if my adept stays around, I believe the game is over-ish. This little guy right here. Add a mana, mill a card, sacrifice. They don't really have anything in there right now, so it's fine. I can block my Death Touch here. Wait, it's just like, do they get rid of my Agatha's Soul Cauldron if I do? We get to see the trigger first. Okay. No creature in that pile. 5, 6, 7. Sure. I'll take 7. I'll take maximum attackers. All these highlighting being a Haywire Might, it's actually kind of wild, which is funny. But I think we're going to see exactly what I was talking about, where I'm going to lose. Bounce that back, and then they can Hopeless Nightmare me. I guess so. Let's exile a card. Let's make a green. Let's exile this card. Let's do Dredger's Insight for a couple and make a Roots. And then I can use that green to then sacrifice this. Then I can exile this. So if their plan was like play another Pixie, pick that back up, they can't do that anymore, which seemed like what their plan was. But these are now gone. They had a Hopeless Nightmare in their hand anyway, which we kind of figured was the case, but that's okay. All right. So I have a way to make my roots pretty large in general. I just have to do it right, or I can just use the adapt to cast a ton of things, and then my roots are so large that they just lose most of their board. What do I have in here exactly? I can actually just cast the Overlord too. Yeah, so let's activate this ability. I'm gonna answer my question from earlier too. I'm gonna hard cast this. So I'm gonna actually hit 2 creatures here and see if the roots makes 2 or not. I actually don't know. Oh, roots does make 2. Okay. Well, or no, it should have made 3. Yeah, no. So it's short. It's short. I can grab this Tyvar back. Although I cannot play the Tyvar. I can hold this for Hopeless Nightmare. My opponent says, okay, they've had enough. I don't know if they don't know if I couldn't play the Tyvar, but honestly, playing the Overlord's a mistake. I believe I had a Tyvar in my graveyard already. Yeah, I didn't play this game to clean it. So what I should have done there is I should have just been pinning this, grabbed a Tyvar out, played a Tyvar minus the Tyvar, and then like all these become active. Like I can actively play these. And then I just kind of run away with the game in general. So like no matter what they do, I'm just going to make all these things huge. And then my Dredger's Insight's going to give me enough life that they're never going to be able to one-shot me after. And it's going to be nuts or awful. These lands showing a little why they can be troublesome. But it's okay. We do have just 2 plays and one can probably find us something good. Okay. Or I go with this and I try to hit the land with the Maverick. So I can just establish her roots immediately. Against Gruul, I feel like that's a requirement. Okay. We'll leave that land on top. They mulliganed as well? Oh, it's Delirium. Okay. Honestly, I'll take the Delirium matchup over the other matchup like any day. So that's obviously great for us. It does suck that our land was just right on top. Like we could have just like had that land and didn't have to necessarily do too much about it. But does Gruul have like a way to answer the roots? I don't. If they don't, I'm unaware of it, I guess, is going to be my answer to that equation. But right now, we don't have a ton of ways to get our creatures out of our graveyard. I mean, we do, in a way, like Overlord and this can do it. And then I can make a roots, but that is getting hit with a torch to tower. Okay. So that's gone permanently. Overlord can still do what we want. Oh, very sick play. Oh, and they hit a creature. Unfair, unfair. They go with it. Maybe they had the guy that could bring this back and they just opted not to go for that one, which definitely would make some sense. We do have double green here that we kind of got to be careful with. But let's go with... I guess I just play this, make both green, use Dredger's Insight, and then kind of decide from there. I don't think with this card I am ever actually like grabbing a land in this spot. Unless they were all lands, then of course like I grab a land. I'm gonna go with this Molt Tender, I suppose, because they don't know about this card. We gain a life, we put a little dude down, and I'll just go ahead and play the Tender out, and we have a good time. And then now I have 4 mana, and I can also exile this Overlord, which counts as a creature in the graveyard with the Molt Tender to make a mana. We can then just hard cast our Overlord. This entity's doing whatever it wants to me. I don't like the way I said that, but it's how I said it, and you're just gonna have to deal with it. Hey, you also have Dredger's Insight, but that's 4 damage. That's coming in hot. That's okay. I can also play a Thrill Seeker and then shoot this entity, but I don't imagine after this turn I don't cause a lot of problems. I get land only. It's a tap land. I think they already played a land for turn, right? No. No. Or we win the game here. Yeah. So, barring a torch to tower, we get to pop off and go absolutely insane here. Mill.
I have arrived. It's not victory.
Thankfully, we had a creature to bring back. So we get to go into play a Gorehound. And we get to play a Molt Tender, which is obviously nice. This mills, Molt Tender go in the graveyard. Let's make a mana. Let's make it... I guess I can go for black here, or I can go red and try to Thrill Seeker. This NT, I guess. I'll hit an Overlord here. Then we get to Insight, make another dude. We do another Surveil. There goes a loot. Now, if we find a Cauldron, we're pretty well off here. I guess this doesn't end up getting there, right? Oh, actually, no. This will exile a card, so we can. So red, another Molt Tender. Lane can go. So now we go for Thrill Seeker here. We already have a 4/5, but can I make something else into a 4/5? I guess just you here. I want it to be the smallest creature as possible. Or how it can go in a way. And then we'll do this. Then we'll pop this. They can grow that if they want, but then they don't have an NT to kind of help them out here. Then we pass. Super sick. But now we're entirely ready to win the game. But our turn went into something crazy, of course. Obviously, fear of missing out is pretty good. I don't think they understand how good our next turn is going to be. Sure. I will overblock if it is to protect this Tyvar. Which sucks, but I will 100% overblock here. There's no way I'm allowing our Tyvar to go with how good he's going to be here. Okay. I will opt to go for... I don't know if I necessarily have the lethal plan, so I'm going to opt to go for a Overlord here. And I'm just maxing him out. Kind of set up a way to not really lose this game. I can grab a loot here, because loot can be activated right away. We'll make another Roots dude. And then a Cauldron's a great draw. So then I can activate loot and draw a card. Right? Yeah, so we activate here. We go, let's make our blue. We'll get rid of the Gorehound. All those are coming up. We want that Cauldron on top. I go ahead and play this. Exile a card, which will just go ahead and be... Ah! They weren't gonna let me combo. This is like a combo that's way easier in paper, by the way. I'm actually gonna play... I guess I play a Molt Tender here. I don't know. Might be able to get some mana anyway. Oh, there's an Agatha Soul Cauldron, which is obviously very nice. Go second Molt Tender. We do a Surveil. I'll keep the land on top, and I'll just attack here. A land goes right into Overlord on turn 2 if our opponent plays a tap, but it won't. I guess I'd have to mill, right? Are you Esper Pixie? I thought maybe it was blue-white control, to be honest with you, but I'll definitely go for the Overlord, like on back end, if that's how it ends up working out. The only problem is like the tenders require cards, so maybe I should have just milled. Well, no, then I don't get to my land, so it's like, what do I do regardless? Opponent, are you good? It is 3 1/1s on turn 2. Okay, so they were taking out a Mana Dork then? I'm not gonna stop him, dude. I don't know. So, like, a little part of me wants to play the Overlord on a following turn. I just don't know how to do so. I could just play this Thrill Seeker, I guess. Ah, man. It's always tough in a spot like this. Let's just play the Overlord for 2. I think maybe I'm just trying to get a little too cute, too greedy. And now I get to play a Tyvar, right? Yeah. So, yep. I will exile this creature. Haywire Might's too important in this matchup, so I won't ever hit that here. Now I get to play a Tyvar minus. Here's a Roots, so I guess I'll bring back my Haywire Might. As cool as he is. Got him. Little feisty boy. No real way for them to answer Tyvar straight up. Maybe they do play like a Bitter Triumph, I think I guess. Well, there's not a whole lot of ways outside of this town ain't big enough to like bounce it and then double discard me. But with 3 cards in my hand, it feels a little bit tough. There's also a loot in my graveyard, and I get the Soul Cauldron in my hand, so I feel pretty good. I will most likely activate I will play Cauldron, activate Cauldron, target to Tender, make a mana off the other one, draw 3, untap it, then maybe make mana. Most likely not. I'm just gonna like reload my hand. Here's a Pixie. Sure. Hey, getting my Haywire Might hit. Believe in you. Attaboy. Now our Pixie's gone. Not our Pixie. Their Pixie's their card. My Haywire Might's gone. Hey, Loot. I could just gas you. Have haste. But I'm going to do it the cool way, I think. I get to do this immediately if that's the case. Let's exile. We do Loot. We'll target this guy. So now I can then activate this guy. Our card. We want what? To draw 3? We'll exile this card. We don't have to do a creature if we don't want to. I will then draw 3 cards. It's pretty good to me. We do Bloom Tender. We play Molt. What am I talking about? I'm mixing cards all together now. Untap here. Exhaust can be done at any time. But I'm going to do 3 damage. This. That. This. And that. That's now gone. Our Overlord ticks down and we're ready to go. Now, when I use Agatha's Soul Cauldron to exile another creature, maybe, I have 2 loots. And then I might have 3 loots. Who knows? Who thought maybe a loot under an Agatha's Soul Cauldron would be a good idea? That's a pretty good idea. 4th land from our Esper opponent. I feel like this matchup feels pretty good, to be honest. That's obviously a very good thing to have. Town ain't big enough. Okay, we getting dressed. Don't play a Hopeless Nightmare. I have another loot for that. It's quite funny. No. All right. I just load up on his board. I feel like loading up's just good. Like, do I just play this Overlord straight up? Maybe I activate this Tyvar, bring back something. I don't know. Get in there, big dog. I believe in you. Okay. Oh, I could have done minus Tyvar play Overlord. Okay, we'll talk about it later, team. It's okay. You can yell at me later. It's fine. Just play this then. We'll just exile this. Surveil 2. Both. No, both of those are bad. We'll plus here. We'll just do this Molt Tender. I'll just mill a card, honestly. I don't even want to necessarily go overboard. But, yeah, so the misplay I had is I could have minus the Tyvar and then played the Overlord, which would have put the Tyvar back in my hand. Now, I wouldn't get to necessarily, like, I wouldn't necessarily get to play the Tyvar that turn, but getting to play it on the following turn would obviously be really good. Tap land is obviously awesome for us. That means they can't this down big enough, bounce a couple of things of ours, like an Overlord in our one that's kind of on the suspend route. But I don't know. I feel like this game is just a matter of time before we win, not necessarily if we win. We just have to get through the kind of grueling steps. If, for example, I play a Thrill Seeker or something, sure, that's fine. I just play a Thrill Seeker and I just start flinging stuff and Cauldron gets it back, or maybe I just hard cast a loot, hit them for a little, and then go that route. You know what I mean? It's all kind of weird on how it'll end up working. Or I somehow hit incredible card. Oh, second act the Soul Cauldron. Thank you, I suppose. Let's mill. Ivar down to 1.
Rally, my friend.
Card goes straight into play, so I guess I could do the biggest creature if I wanted to. But I'm going to go for the Gorehound because I like cards that matter. And then I'm going to play an Adept, and then our opponent decides the Gorehound's too much and leaves. But sure, I guess we'll call it there. This deck's just kind of like, this deck's so hard on the brain. You have to like think of so much because so much stuff works together, but we'll move on. All right, so here we are. I think this is one of the first times I've actually played a Roots deck. I've been like, wow, not everything in the world has to go right for me to win, which is nice. I've not been the biggest fan of Tyvar in the past because I always feel like you're playing a rather weird card that has the chance to mill over your Insidious Roots, and you don't necessarily get the value from it or anything like that. So it's always been a weird thing to me to play Tyvar. But I think in a matchup like this, where having loot with Agatha's Soul Cauldron is we have such a combination of cards that are all kind of good and work together. If you count this Overlord, for example, Dredger's Insight's really good, because if we play it, then we can just gain enough life until we find an Insidious Roots if we accidentally milled 1 or 2 over. Or we can gain enough life that Agatha's Soul Cauldron can now be activated on a loot. For example, we didn't have a loot Roots in that last game, but because we had a loot in the graveyard, we had a Cauldron, we exiled the loot, we did some nonsense, we drew some extra cards, we domed a Pixie, keeping our Tyvar alive, and then Tyvar is just making value happen. We're playing an Overlord early because of the Molt Tenders and things like that, and Gorehound's able to surveil and all that, but it's very weird of a deck overall. Also, the red and blue don't matter because of the Roots mana or the Molt Tenders, so you kind of have like 8-ish ways to get these for free. And if they're under a Cauldron, that's actually where they serve their purpose the best, so you don't actually care about having the red. Well, other than that, I mean, this deck felt fun overall. Like, it actually felt like a really good time. You could just play 1 loot if you want to be a little bit more stingy on your crafting. I totally understand that. I was kind of on the same boat, and I kind of wanted to just play 1 loot, but I also wanted to, like, find it for the video. That's one of the downsides of doing the, like, creator thing, is being like, well, I want to play a loot in my games, right? I want to find it, but honestly, playing 2, I was pretty happy with that decision overall. But if you're wondering how I split this up, it's by rares and mythics now. So we have 8 commons, we have 12, 13 uncommons, we have 9 rares, and then we have quite a bit of mythics. Although Overlord is probably a mythic that if you're playing any type of black deck that has a reanimate strategy, this card is absolutely insane. This is actually one of the cards that had a pretty low value price whenever it first came out, and then now it's being played in a lot of formats, and Modern included and things like that. So this card in paper has actually gotten quite the price tag. Agatha's Soul Cauldron might even be a card that you might have a copy or 2 lying around because you might have been playing a Roots already. And realistically, if you clicked on a Roots deck video, you probably have these anyway. But other than that, it's all great. Tyvar makes the Adept great. This is probably one of the few cards that it's a little bit awkward to craft if you're never going to play it outside of this deck. So definitely be careful of that. But the deck overall was super fun. I had a good time. We had a good win rate, and everything worked out pretty well overall. But hardest matchup, I have to imagine, is red on the play. But that's a hard matchup for literally anybody ever because red is very good, we'll say. Maybe a little too good for our best of 1 gamers. But with that said, I hope y'all enjoyed anyway, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.